Pauline says that, yeah, the CCP has launched an all-out war against American AI. The divide we're seeing in this country is largely driven by bots and paid actors violating this FARA. You know,
by the way, this woman is one of the receivers of Israeli money. She's one of the biggest supporters of Israel in Congress. And here again, like what you point out, it's very selective. It's like they're always pointing finger at China. Like I said, every accusation is a confession. You know, there's a lot of
she votes for every funding. Votes yes to any funding to Israel. I actually responded with something along the lines of that. I said, using the same language, as the divide we're seeing in your country is largely driven by people beginning to wake up to politicians like you who take money from AIPAC, then spend your time introducing the Stand with Israel Act and voting yes on every Israel aid package, while you do nothing for your own country that's in decay other than scapegoating your issues onto China with no evidence whatsoever. And also blaming anybody in their society who are raising issues about AI, you know, trying to say that they're somehow associated with China. And that's something Kevin O'Leary has jumped onto also. That's one that you brought up. Yeah. Kevin O'Leary claims that China is funding protests against his Utah AI data center with hundreds of millions of dollars. Who would want us to stop having compute capacity to develop AI? It's only one. It's China.
Because people otherwise would not have a problem with data center in their neighborhood. And this is the thing. You know, look at where those data centers build. They're never building rich people's areas.
Oh, yeah.
Never. and if other people, non-rich people, complaining about data center being built in their neighborhood, drawing down electricity from their grid, raising the electricity price for them, then it must be China. That's the only explanation. It has to be the Chinese.
Like they're deliberately. I mean, they're almost being facetious. Like they really can't imagine why some people in the general public would be against this. Like you have to be deliberately ignorant. You have to be deliberately ignoring that to say that I really can't think of any other possibility in the world other than the fact that China must be funding this dissent.
And also Kevin Leary, he's always posting himself as a big American patriot against, you know, the big bad China. He's Canadian.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
I mean, the dude is Canadian. What the heck? Why are you cosplaying of Americans for?
Yeah. He did another thing where he was saying he mentioned a specific campaign. Where he says this campaign is actually run by China, and you know, unless somebody can come forward in America and tell us. And then there was these two women who were behind it, and they did a reaction video like, it's
two white women from Utah. Yeah, white women from Utah.
You really can't imagine. Same thing I was saying. You really can't imagine why we would be against this. And they did a really good takedown. But I mean, even all of the lessons growing up, like I like this reply saying that, Lorax must have been a Chinese agent also. Like, you know, like some of the replies are great. Like people grew up understanding that these, you know, massively polluting industries are a bad thing. I mean, you don't need the Lorax to tell you that either, but this is a value that has been held by people in these countries for a very, very long time. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how. I mean, this is a little bit off topic, still related, how China handles it too, because yeah, from what we're seeing, these data centers really pollute quite a lot. I know that. So from experience of opening a brewery in China, the environmental requirements are immense. One of the biggest, just for a brewery, which you're piping out natural stuff like, hops and yeast and stuff like that, like all natural stuff. They're not like, there are some cleaning chemicals and stuff like that you use in the tanks, which are quite harsh. But their requirement is that you have your own on-site sewage treatment and a filtration system before you pipe it out to the general sewage system, which will then get filtered again. That by far was one of the largest expenses in opening a brewery. And so I would imagine that there's going to be so many controls in place also for data centers without people even asking about it. It doesn't look like that is a priority in the U.S., especially I guess under a president like Trump, who's going all out on an attack against anything, green tech. But that leads to the obvious result that people are going to get upset and concerned about this. And once again, people are just trying to scapegoat it onto China.
Yeah, and also another problem is China, like these data centers are very power hungry. They're very energy intensive. China actually built a lot of power generation, so they have extra power to spare. Whereas in United States, the U.S. power generation has been essentially flat for the last 20 years. So what they're doing is their power centers are eating into the public utility. They're eating into like the civilian use of electricity. That's what's driving the electricity rate up for everybody. I mean, if you complain about that, you must be a Chinese op. You must be a Chinese influence agent.
It must be infuriating to be, a concerned citizen in the West now, knowing that you're pretty much just going to be labeled a Russian agent, a Chinese agent, working for Iran, no matter what. No matter what, as soon as you bring up some sort of an issue, the answer now is to just scapegoat someone else. Not only from business people, but from your own politicians also. We saw it throughout the Gaza issue. We saw it through every single issue. It's really remarkable. We will move on to something that is from, I'll let you take it over from here. This is from one of your old friends. Let's see. Tell us what's going on here.
So this is Noah Smith, America's #1 public intellectual. He has always been on this China bad rant. Just the normal talking point. A lot of the Noah Smith's points are actually not original. He's just parroting the same mainstream talking points about China because he has actually never been to mainland China. He admitted to this to me 5 years ago in a public debate, which is still on my YouTube channel. He said he has never been to mainland China, yet he is writing prolifically on China and how China is bad. Somehow this guy has no connection to China, do not speak the language, never been there, is somehow pontificating, prolifically in American public space about China. And when you challenge him, he will block you. Like after his debate debacle, after I handed him his ass in that debate, he blocked me as well. And then can you bring that tweet again? His tweet. So this is why he give me honorable mention in the following reply. He said, China inspiring dipshit like Carl Zhan, Lei Gong, and Simon Yang to come into my Twitter feed and say dumbest shit imaginable. Very bad. Like, dude, after he blocked me, I have not been in his freaking comment section forever, so I don't know what he's talking about. And people should go, if you haven't seen it, go check out my debate with Noah Smith from 5 years ago. So obviously he's still butthurt about it.
It's not just his takes on China. It's his takes on anywhere in the world are just incredibly ridiculous. And yet he gets ratioed all the time. People are always calling him out. He does a lot of blocking, which leads me to believe, and it's amazing that he can amass such a big following with such terrible takes. But there is a strategy that people use where they deliberately rage bait for engagement, and they become really popular doing that. Like they deliberately put out the most ridiculous stuff, but he's not even deliberately rage baiting. Like he just his genuine, honest takes drive people into a rage because it's just so stupid, and he blocks them. Otherwise, he would keep them. He's like, "This is exactly what I want. I'm rage baiting people." No, he really believes the stuff that he says, and it's remarkable. It's an unintentional rage baiter.
Yeah.
We have okay. This is one that you shared also. Why don't you go into this for us?
Oh, okay. So this is this is a response to a response, and originally it's a people who again, this is like China bad. This again, the China bad, China incoming collapse of China narrative has been around for a long time, more than 2 decades old by this point. So the first tweeter, the Oblomov Bukowski, said this clown has been singing the same song for the last 20 years. Back in 2004, he was predicting China was going to collapse in the next 2 decades, and he posted the receipt. And then Angelica, who is actually from Taiwan, she experienced a sort of a road to Damascus moment recently. Like, she used to be a big supporter of the Taiwan's government under Tsai Ing-wen, but she has now quite changed her political stance, and she's for a political solution to the Taiwan issue. And so she replied, she said, I didn't know about these predictions. She gave 4 possible scenarios. Peaceful. So this is the prediction back from 2004. Oh, this, by the way, this is by none other than New York Times columnist. This is Nicholas Kristof. He actually has been posted in China for a decade before he went back to U.S. But back in 2004, he was also posting the 4th scenario for China: peaceful transition to democracy, military coup. Number 3, World War III, like a war with United States, basically over Taiwan. 4, civil war and chaos. It's completely ridiculous, but this is kind of the standard liberal talking points about China. So Noah Smith is actually not a standalone, like a fringe talking point. This is a standard mainstream media talking points about China. This is from like the main New York Times columnist reporter who was based in China for decades, and he was giving all these prognoses. So Gordon Chan is not an outlier, guys. Gordon Chan is only amazing for his consistency all throughout the years. But this is what these people have been talking about all this time.
Yeah, Gordon Chang is like a caricature of the whole anti-China industry. He's like one of the more extreme and desperate ones, and the desperation is a little bit too obvious with him. Now on to this. I found this really interesting too. This is somebody I'm mutually connected with for a while. Saying, having lived in China for 20 plus years and watched them gain competence and then utter domination over so many aspects of tech, design, entertainment, finance, etc. And then look at how poorly they manage external perceptions, call it PR, propaganda, whatever. And you realize they aren't even trying to convince the world of outside of how great things are here. Meanwhile, the US dedicates $1.3 billion to convincing people how terrible China is. All I know is that it's going to be a very rude awakening for a lot of people when the curtain's fully open. And we're already seeing that to a large degree, where people are coming and, iShowSpeed shows up and has an amazing time here, and people are melting down. There are some people, obviously the younger generation that don't have a lifetime of this propaganda are a little bit easy. It's a little bit easier for them to say, oh, wow, it's not like I'm being told,
Even Lara Trump. Yeah. Even Trump's daughter-in-law, she said, wow, China is amazing. And it's nothing like what they have told us in media over here. Yeah. That is just a big admission. Like, everybody realized once they come to China, they have been fed propaganda.
Yeah. And it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be easier with the younger generation. But I feel like for a lot of older people who it's almost been set in stone, like this is a lifelong understanding of theirs. And it's not going to be easy for them to change. But we're seeing change with the new generation. And for everybody else, it's just a rude awakening that there's so much going on that contradicts their entire world understanding.
What American McKee said actually ties into that tweet from Arnaud Bertrand about the French politicians being challenged. I don't know if you have that tweet lined up.
I do. That is the one where they're. Is that the one where they're asked to
name three living Chinese people? Name three living Chinese people.
Yeah. So yeah, they're these commentators that comment on China. That's one of their main focuses. And let's look at the video. It's subtitled 27. Here we go.
Qui peut aujourd'hui citer, je vous pose la question à tous, qui peut citer autour de cette table le nom, c'est la question que pose Gilles Gressani, qui peut aujourd'hui citer le nom de 3 Chinois vivants?
Et c'est tout.
Qui peut?
Xi Jinping. 3 Chinois vivants.
3 Chinois vivants. 3 personnes chinoises vivantes.
Et le président
Xi Jinping, oui.
Oui, vous voulez les noms,
c'est déjà
ça.
un.
Xi Jinping.
Voilà.
Oui.
Vous voyez? Vous voyez?
Non, mais ça dit quelque chose de fondamental.
Ah oui, la vache.
Non, mais je pense que ça dit quelque chose de fondamental parce que
le grand sculpteur.
Parce qu'en fait, on vit en réalité avec des représentations mentales qui sont celles du XXe siècle, du début du XXe siècle. On vit toujours en 2000 alors qu'on est en fait en réalité beaucoup plus proche à 2050.
C'est pas fou.
Et en 2026, la Chine, c'est la moitié de ce qui compte en géopolitique, en économie. Voilà. Et donc, il y a un problème quand effectivement des personnes cultivées qui s'intéressent aux affaires internationales, qui lisent la presse, au fond, ont du mal à se représenter l'existence de 3 figures chinoises. Donc,
How do they miss Jackie Chan? Did they think Jackie Chan already passed away? I mean, like,
yeah, or exactly. Sure. Like if they don't want to stay in politics, like Jackie Chan, Yao Ming, or like any of these other people,
Jet Li.
Yeah, just go for an obvious one. That is the state of China commentators.
I saw a lot of response to Arnold's post. I saw one guy who said, "Well, yeah, I couldn't name 3 living Chinese person other than Xi Jinping." But then he goes on to say, "Well, it's really on China because China has a really weak soft power because China is not being able to properly explain themselves to the world." But I am with American McKee. No, this is not on China. This is on you. Yeah. China is becoming more important day by day. It's up to you to understand what's going on in China. It's not China's job to explain them to you. You're the one that have to make adjustment to reality here.
Right. I mean, some of these guys, they even like talking about Jack Ma. They could go to the business world, the entertainment world, the political world. There's so much to choose from. But I mean, that is the perfect illustration of the average China watcher. And then we got more cope here.
And even like Peng Shuai, remember like when they did a whole campaign about remember Peng Shuai? Well, obviously they've forgotten about Peng Shuai already.
Yeah. Because, it only matters in the moment when somebody is available to prove their point, but they don't have any meaningful understanding of what's going on or meaningful connection to any of the issues they talk about. They just grab whatever they can in the moment. That's a perfect example with the Ferrari on fire also. Or the Lamborghini, whatever it was. Yeah, Lambo, yeah. It's just grab it, use it, and then forget about it. And if you are wrong, delete it or block the comments, and then continue on to the next thing. Yeah. A little bit more cope here. I think, is this one you shared with me? Is this? Yeah, there will be no Chinese century. There won't even be a Chinese couple of years. Is this one that you shared with me?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like, they keep on saying this, except they keep on saying this for 20 years now. Like, what are you talking about? Again, they imbibe way too much New York Times, Gordon Chan, and it's now becoming some like people's identity when they get challenged. They get offended and very defensive. It's like just travel to China, man. Like you seriously, like if your information is China is what you consume from the mainstream media, you are gaining knowledge about a China in a bizarro world, a China that does not exist in reality.
Right. This next one is yours too. Take it away.
Okay. So this is about originally this is about a debate between Balaj, which is this Indian American investor, and Roman helmet guy who posts ridiculous right-wing tweets. and it's they're talking about China and United States. So this Zhang guy, he's actually the founder of G Captain, which is now getting a lot more prominence because he posts a lot of information about marine traffic. Gain prominence because what's happening in Strait of Hormuz. So but this guy, I didn't include the tweet here, but for people, this guy one time he posted a whole story about how his son was caught in a school shooting and how he was worried about his son, and somehow he pivoted that to I hate Eileen Gu because she's a traitor to America. Like people were like, what? Like what? How did you just pivot from worrying about your son's safety, which like is humanly relatable, to suddenly I hate Eileen Gu because she's a traitor to America? So this same person posted that tweet. Can you bring the tweet back up? So he says, okay, get the fuck out of here. Go to any Chinese shipyard and ask to see the Eagle. Talk to Americans working in that office right now. Go to any major engineering firm in Houston, major banks on Wall Street, tech company in California, importing in New Jersey. Ask for the export reports. I think some of the maybe got cut off, but his point is America made China. China is able to be prosperous because of America. Americans made China prosperous. Like China owe America for bring them out of the poverty. That was his point. That was his whole point of his thread, which is it's a very common talking points too. Actually, there's a lot of, especially among the right wing, they will say, "Oh yeah, we saved your ass in World War II, and then we brought you out of poverty." Before you guys
sanctioning China also.
yeah. And they say it's because we allow you to trade with us. So that's how we like. This is it actually, I think it shows kind of the disdain Americans have for actual work, because you think about what actually happened is these Chinese workers, they're working their ass off to produce consumer goods for which they traded to the American for American dollars. So what they say is like the work itself is actually valueless. With act of charity that we're buying these goods that's producing to China. I mean, like, I don't know. It takes a special type of mindset. I think it's American supremacist mindset to think that somehow China owed to America to lift themselves out of poverty in the last 40 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's no matter what, they're going to find, I mean, like the original example of, his kid being caught up in a possible school shooting and then pivoting to China, like they're just consumed by China. It goes back to American McGee's, post that people are in for a rude awakening, and that rude awakening is manifesting itself in really bizarre ways for people who do not like the idea of China rising, or who never expected China to rise as much as it did. So you're going to have all of these hot takes that are just, extremely desperate. But yeah, yeah.
And I think a part of it that is because China is a non-Western, non-white nation.
That's a huge part of it.
Those people are not comfortable with that. They're definitely not comfortable with that. Being not only they see U.S. losing its top dog status, but it's losing its top dog status to a non-white, non-Western nation. That's what triggered them so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole. When you look at the Five Eyes, white, English-speaking countries, and you look at their other most important alliances, it definitely gravitates around that. Now, if it was one of America's own allies exceeding them, they still would have had an issue with it. But you've got two elements at play at the same time in this case.